Why does happiness seem to slip through our fingers just when we try to grab it? We live in a world that sells us the idea that the pinnacle of life is being happy, an incessant promise on social media, in self-help books, and even in casual conversations about the future. But what if this pursuit is what makes us miserable? Nietzsche, the philosopher who dared to challenge humanity's greatest dogmas, suggested something radical. Seeking happiness is a mistake. He believed that the true engine of life is not pleasure, but power. Not dominion over others, but power over oneself, the ability to overcome challenges, grow, and expand. And here's the paradox. When we stop chasing happiness, it finds us as a natural consequence of a life well lived. Think about how modern society trains us to avoid discomfort. We want shortcuts to success, anesthetics to suffering, and easy solutions to complex problems. However, Nietzsche saw suffering not as an evil to be eliminated, but as the price of greatness. Happiness, according to him, is like a shadow that follows us when we are busy facing life with courage. To understand Nietzsche's vision of happiness and power, it is necessary to delve into his central idea, the will to power. Unlike how the term may sound, it is not about controlling others or accumulating wealth, but about a deeper, vital drive, the force that moves us to grow, overcome adversity, and become stronger versions of ourselves. Nietzsche believed that this will is the true essence of life, the invisible engine that transforms challenges into opportunities for evolution. Happiness, in this context, is not an end to be achieved, but the brilliance that emerges when we are aligned with this force. It's the relief after winning a battle, the silent pride of someone who has overcome themselves. Let's contrast this with modern thinking. We are bombarded by slogans that encourage us to be happy now, as if happiness were an instantaneous product. But Nietzsche saw this desire for happiness as a weakness, an escape from true life, which requires effort and sacrifice. For him, avoiding discomfort is avoiding growth, and that is where the great contradiction of modernity lies. By challenging this obsession, Nietzsche offers us an alternative path, one that requires courage, but promises something far greater than fleeting happiness. We live in the age of compulsory happiness. Our social networks are full of impeccable smiles, paradisiacal destinations, and motivational phrases that tirelessly tell us that life is only worth it if we are happy. This pressure to appear happy rather than experience it creates a subtle trap. The more we chase it, the more distant we feel from it. This phenomenon is not only cultural, but also psychological. Studies show that the relentless pursuit of happiness can lead to anxiety, depression, and a feeling of failure. After all, if everyone seems to be living a perfect life, why can't I? The modern obsession with happiness transforms moments of difficulty, so natural to life, into existential crises. We are encouraged to numb pain, avoid conflict, and ignore challenges, all in the name of an illusory idea of constant well-being. Nietzsche saw this long before it became a global problem. For him, happiness is not a state of comfort or absence of suffering. On the contrary, it is in moments of overcoming, when we face chaos and emerge stronger, that we experience what he would call true joy. He believed that life should not be lived in search of easy pleasures, but of experiences that transform us. However, modern society has moved away from this idea. We avoid discomfort, ignore resistance, and turn the search for happiness into a race without a finish line. The result? A generation that feels that something essential is missing, but cannot identify what it is. Nietzsche invites us to question, what if we are looking in the wrong direction? When Nietzsche talks about power, he is not referring to the kind of control that corrupts politicians or fuels corporate greed. For him, power has nothing to do with domination over others. It is about something much deeper and more intimate. The ability to transcend oneself, to transform weaknesses into strengths, and to face life with courage. This kind of power starts internally. Think about times when you overcame a seemingly insurmountable challenge. It could have been a fear you faced, a difficult goal you achieved, or even the ability to get back up after a big fall. The satisfaction you felt did not come from the absence of effort, but from directly facing the difficulty. For Nietzsche, this is power, the growth that occurs when we resist the easy and embrace the difficult. But why is this concept so important? why we live in a world that values shortcuts. We want miracle diets, meteoric careers, and instant solutions to complex problems. However, true power takes time, effort, and often pain. Nietzsche believed that resisting suffering is resisting power. He saw discomfort as a catalyst, something that pushes us to evolve if we have the courage to face it. This kind of power frees us from a victim mentality. Instead of blaming the world or circumstances, we start to see ourselves as agents of our own transformation. Life stops being something that happens to us and becomes something we actively create. And here's the paradox. The more we embrace this vision of power, the more we find that happiness that seems so unattainable. Not because we seek it, but because it appears as a side effect of our growth. Modern society makes a continuous effort to avoid suffering at all costs. We are surrounded by medicines, therapies, and solutions that promise to free us from pain and discomfort. However, Nietzsche proposes a radically different vision. What if suffering were, in fact, an essential component of life that we should embrace? For Nietzsche, suffering is not just an inevitability, but a powerful tool for transformation. He argued that pain teaches us lessons that ease can never offer. When facing challenges and adversity, we are forced to develop resilience, strength, and self-knowledge. What we often call suffering is actually an opportunity in disguise to grow. This does not mean that we should seek suffering for its own sake, but rather recognize its intrinsic value. Think about moments of crisis in your life. They are often catalysts for significant change. When we face pain, we can reevaluate our priorities, adjust our goals, and even rediscover ourselves. Nietzsche believed that overcoming suffering brings us closer to our true selves, allowing us to access a depth of power and fulfillment that would not be possible without these tests. In this sense, suffering is a kind of furnace that purifies the spirit, molding us into more complete individuals. When we accept this perspective, we change the way we view difficulties. Instead of seeing ourselves as victims of circumstances, we become protagonists of our story, capable of transforming pain into strength. This transformation is the true power that Nietzsche advocated, and it is through it that we find happiness as a byproduct of our achievements. The idea of overcoming is a recurring theme in Nietzsche's philosophy, and it is deeply intertwined with his vision of power and the meaning of life. For Nietzsche, true greatness is not a matter of social status or material wealth, but rather the ability to rise above personal and collective limitations. This process of overcoming is, in essence, what defines us as human beings. In each of us, there is untapped potential, a strength that waits for the right moment to manifest. Every challenge faced, every failure, and every pain we endure are steps towards that potential. Nietzsche believed that the path to greatness is full of obstacles, but it is precisely this journey that transforms us. Each step we take towards overcoming not only strengthens us, but also teaches us the resilience and adaptability necessary to face future challenges. This concept resonates in different areas of life. Think about great historical figures who went through significant trials before achieving success. Steve Jobs, for example, was fired from the company he founded before returning and transforming Apple into one of the largest technology empires in the world. His story is a testament to the idea that overcoming adversity can lead to ultimate achievement. Furthermore, overcoming is closely linked to self-efficacy, the belief that we are capable of achieving our goals. When we manage to overcome an obstacle, even if small, we create a positive cycle that fuels our confidence and motivation. This leads us to seek new challenges and thus expand our potential. By adopting this perspective, we change our understanding of what it means to live a meaningful life. Instead of seeking happiness as an ultimate goal, we start to see overcoming as the true purpose of our existence. And so, as we become adept at this cycle of growth, happiness naturally arises as a result of our own greatness. Setting goals is an essential component on the path to power and overcoming, and Nietzsche emphasizes the importance of these goals being meaningful and authentic. We are often influenced by external expectations, what society expects of us, what our parents want us to be, or even what social media seems to demand. However, true strength comes from goals that resonate with our deepest essence. When setting meaningful goals, we must ask ourselves, what do we really want to achieve? What are the aspirations that move and inspire us? These questions are not just superficial reflections, but rather an invitation to explore our deepest motivations and desires. When we set goals that reflect our values and passions, we find a purpose that drives us to act. A practical example is the difference between "I want to be rich" and "I want to create a positive impact on people's lives." The first goal may seem attractive at first, but the second is rooted in a greater purpose, which makes it more powerful and motivating. Meaningful goals tied to our true selves inspire us to work towards something that transcends mere material desire. Additionally, the dynamic nature of goals is critical. They should not be fixed, but rather evolutionary, adapting as we grow and develop. This cycle of review and adjustment not only keeps our goals relevant, but also challenges us to step out of our comfort zone, promoting continued growth. When we adopt this approach, each step toward our goals becomes an opportunity to practice self-improvement and strengthen our inner power, creating a virtuous cycle that leads to a fuller, more meaningful life. Self-improvement is not a one-off goal, but an ongoing cycle that shapes our life journey. This cycle, fundamental in Nietzsche's philosophy, teaches us that each achievement is a step towards the next challenge. Life is a battlefield full of disguised opportunities, and each victory we achieve equips us with the tools necessary to face what lies ahead. Therefore, instead of seeing success as an end in itself, we must understand it as part of a dynamic and constantly evolving process. In this cycle, reflection plays a crucial role. After each achievement, it is essential to stop and analyze what was learned and how this experience can be applied in the future. Ask yourself, how has this victory changed me? What skills have I developed? What obstacles do I still need to overcome? This self-analysis not only helps us internalize learning, but also chart new paths for growth. For example, an athlete who wins a competition may celebrate the victory, but it is the reflection on their training routine, nutrition, and mindset that prepares them for the next tournament. The true champion does not rest on success. He constantly seeks new limits to reach. This growth mindset is what sets great directors apart from the rest. Furthermore, the cycle of self-overcoming is driven by the notion that each challenge brings with it the opportunity to reinvent oneself. This idea is in harmony with Nietzsche's concept of eternal recurrence, which invites us to imagine how we would live if we had to repeat our choices eternally. This thought is not a condemnation, but a liberation. He encourages us to make bold choices and seek out experiences that make us feel alive and fulfilled. Therefore, by cultivating the mindset that each step is a preparation for the next, we find constant purpose in our quest for power and fulfillment. This uninterrupted cycle of overcoming leads us not only to a sense of personal fulfillment, but also to the true greatness that Nietzsche so extolled. For Nietzsche, suffering is not just an unwanted experience to be avoided, but an essential and inevitable component of life. This vision may seem bleak at first glance, but it proves to be deeply liberating when we explore its true meaning. Suffering is a catalyst that drives us to seek power, transformation, and ultimately, meaning. When we face challenges and pain, we are forced to confront our weaknesses, beliefs, and limitations. It is in this confrontation that we find opportunities for growth. Imagine an artist who faces constant rejection. The pain of criticism can turn into motivation to improve your work. Each blow you receive becomes a tool to sculpt a stronger version of yourself. Thus, suffering becomes a teacher who teaches us valuable lessons about resilience, creativity, and self-knowledge. Furthermore, suffering has the ability to bring people together. Difficult experiences often generate empathy and understanding. When we share our struggles, we create deeper, more meaningful bonds with others. This connection not only enriches our lives, but also helps us realize that we are not alone in our battles. Suffering, therefore, is not just an individual experience, but a bridge that connects us to a broader community. On the other hand, by accepting suffering as an integral part of life, we can demystify the incessant search for happiness. Contemporary society often promotes the idea that happiness should be a constant state, and that pain is a sign of failure. However, this mindset prevents us from embracing the complexity of the human experience. Instead of avoiding suffering, we must learn to dance with it, recognizing that each tear shed carries with it a seed of potential. Nietzsche invites us to embrace our suffering as a sign of our humanity. When we accept pain, we not only become stronger, but also more whole. Power emerges not from the absence of pain, but from the ability to overcome it and use it as fuel in our quest for greatness. Ultimately, by transforming suffering into a springboard for growth, we find a new sense of purpose and the true essence of life. The connection between power and happiness is one of the most intriguing in Nietzsche's philosophy. In a world that often associates happiness with comfort and the absence of pain, Nietzsche proposes a radically different perspective. True happiness arises not from the search for it in itself, but from the power we manage to cultivate through our struggles and achievements. This paradox defies conventional wisdom. Instead of seeking happiness as an ultimate goal, Nietzsche suggests that we should focus on strengthening our will and developing our potential. Happiness then becomes a natural side effect of this journey. When we dedicate ourselves to personal overcoming, joy comes from the experiences we have had, the victories achieved, and the continuous growth. It's as if each challenge overcome lights our path, bringing a shine that we often don't notice while we are busy seeking a state of satisfaction. So many may wonder, how then can we cultivate this power? The first step is to redefine our relationship with suffering and difficulties. By viewing challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth, we shift our focus to action and self-overcoming. This mindset turns pain into an ally, which guides us toward deeper development and a sense of accomplishment. Therefore, true happiness does not lie in the direct search for it, but in the journey of empowerment we undertake. As we become stronger, more resilient, and more authentic, we discover that happiness is not a destination, but a companion that accompanies us when we are immersed in our true purpose. Thus, by embracing the paradox between power and happiness, we find a richer and more meaningful life. The connection between power and happiness is one of the most intriguing in Nietzsche's philosophy. In a world that often associates happiness with comfort and the absence of pain, Nietzsche proposes a radically different perspective. True happiness is not the pursuit of it in ourselves, but the power we manage to cultivate through our strokes and achievements. This paradox defies conventional wisdom. Instead of seeking happiness as an ultimate goal, Nietzsche suggests that we should focus on strengthening our will and developing our potential. Happiness then becomes a natural side effect of this journey. When we dedicate ourselves to personal overcoming, joy comes from the experiences we have had, the victories achieved, and the continuous growth. It's as if each challenge lights our way, bringing a glow that we often don't notice while we're busy seeking a state of satisfaction. So many may wonder, how then can we cultivate this power? The first step is to redefine our relationship with suffering and difficulties. By viewing challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth, we shift our focus to action and self-overcoming. This mindset turns pain into an ally, which guides us toward deeper development and a sense of accomplishment. Therefore, true happiness does not lie in the direct search for it, but in the journey of empowerment we undertake. As we become stronger, more resilient, and more authentic, we discover that happiness is not a destination, but a companion that accompanies us when we are immersed in our true purpose. Thus, by embracing the paradox between power and happiness, we find a richer and more meaningful life.